Mayala, one of my brothers, to come and say a few words about Marcus Garvey from an African perspective. So Mayala, if you could, sir. And Mayala will explain where he's from, what he does as well.
First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to our brother Harmony to be here, to bring all together, you know, the way we are today. So to bring everybody together today here. So it's very good to be here, all of us, to celebrate Mr. Garvey, his death or his birth or whatever. But it's very important to celebrate Mr. Garvey. That's what I want to say. Before I will introduce myself, my name is Mayala. I'm from origin of Africa in Congo. So we are here in Birmingham as one of those people who are leading the spiritual group of Bunda Dia Kongo, and we are invited today here, so that's why we are here today to celebrate together with everybody Mr. Garvey his day. So how we know Mr. Garvey in Africa? Mr. Garvey in Africa is known as one of those great leaders. But spiritually, I will speak a few things about Mr. Garvey spiritually, because he is not known spiritually who he is. Spiritually, Mr. Garvey, there are three categories of messengers. We have spiritual messengers and politician messengers, and also scientific messengers. So Mr. Garvey, he was one of those politician messengers who came for the liberation of our people and to lead our people into their homeland. And he always talked about going back in Africa, not staying in slavery land, but going back in Africa. So his mission, it was to free our people here and bring them back in Africa. But unfortunately, that didn't happen in the way he wanted. It ended, you know, shortly, but we should continue that mission. So our work is to continue that mission. So Mr. Garvey, he was one of our great leaders. How is known? Because we have a sacred book, and he's been written in that sacred book. And a lot of us doesn't know that we have a sacred book. In the sacred book, Mr. Garvey, he was written like one of our ancestors in Egypt. Those great leaders in Egypt reincarnate in Jamaica to free his people, because always our ancestors, they are looking after us. They are with us all the time. But when we don't recognize them, and that's where the problem is. But once we recognize them, they are able to do things to free us, to lead us in whatever we need. So Mr. Garvey, one of those great leaders in Egypt, reincarnated in Egypt to free his people and to bring them back in Africa. Spiritually, that's how, in short term, that's how it's known. But when Mr. Garvey started his mission, we had also in Africa one spiritual leader in the name of Fumukimbangu. So his work he was doing here, when that news went back home, he influenced a lot of people to start African liberation. So one of those kind of spiritual leaders we are talking about, the messenger, also heard about his history and began his mission exactly at the same time of Mr. Garvey. Mr. Garvey, it was Fumukimbangu. So both of them, we had a spiritual leader back home, and also we had a politician leader here in diaspora. But the thing is that there was a barrier between both of them. The white people put barrier between both of them so they should know each other. And that's how things continue until today. But if they knew each other at that time, because they both doing the same work, spiritual work and also political work. So if that time both of them knew each other, things should be completely different today. But they didn't meet each other and they didn't know each other. But their history, Mr. Garvey's history, is well known in Africa as one of our great ancestors to free our people here in the diaspora and bring them back home. He never said to stay here, but free our people and go back into homeland. And that's really how it is well known in Africa. So it's very, very happy day for us to celebrate his death or his birth by himself, because this story, we don't learn them in school. We don't learn these stories in school, in our community, but if we have an event like this, we can talk about our ancestor. Is one of the great days for us to celebrate. So what he needed, Mr. Garvey, the union between Europe and between diaspora and Africa. And that mission, we should not stop it, because that's what we're supposed to be doing every time and every day. You see, so that mission is to unite Africa and the diaspora. We have to continue to be doing in any ways. You see, so this event is very, very good event for us to learn about Mr. Garvey according to whatever history that is being written about him, and also according to the way he is known in Africa. So it's very important for us to be here today. So that's a short thing I wanted to speak about Mr. Garvey, and I think Brother is there, he's going to continue to talk about him. But for us as the spiritual movement, Bunda Dia Kongo, also exactly the same thing we are doing. Bunda Dia Kongo is one of spiritual group was created by one of the messengers of today in Congo, exactly to continue the mission of liberation of black people. And that messenger, his name is Nemwanda Nsemi. So the work we are doing here in diaspora to bring those knowledge of our culture here, to unite ourselves spiritually, physically, and also, you never know, one day or another, we will all be in Africa again. So as a Bunda Dia Kongo stands for abolition of African border, African culture rehabilitation, and also to unite Africa. So this is the main work we are doing in Bunda Dia Kongo. African liberation, total and complete liberation, wherever you are, in Jamaica, in Haiti, in Cuba, wherever you are, but first of all, free ourselves spiritually, and that physically is coming. We have a transition time, and that transition time is almost ending. And we start now a physical liberation that we are talking about today. So very soon, hope your eyes turn in Africa, and your ears turn in Africa, and listen to what is going to be going on in Africa. Because this is the time they prophesize of the liberation of Africa, and that time have come today. So we have no more time to wait. That time have come, but what we have to do, we have to make it happen. Not by talk, but by action. And that action, that what is needed. So as we are here, this action, if we continue to do this kind of action of uniting everybody, and continue but not stop, is continue every day. So this what I would like to say about Bunda Dia Kongo, about Mr. Garvey, and about everybody are here. So I really, really appreciate your everybody they come and the event of today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.